Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Emily. I'm an intuitive tarot practitioner with a focus on inner work. If you resonate with this message or find it helpful, then it's for you. So before I started recording and I was just shuffling the deck to kind of get in the mood, the Queen of Swords fell out, and I really feel like she wants to be here right now. So I wanted to start with her. When I look at this Queen of Swords, what I'm hearing is that you have come to terms with some personal truth. This may be a personal truth that you have resisted up to this point, rejected, denied, ignored. Maybe you were just completely unaware of it. Whatever the case may be, it feels now like there is some personal truth that you are embracing. There's some truth about yourself that you're now embracing, honoring, respecting, loving, valuing, that you have not before. Swords are all about truth, and queens, the queen of any suit, is really about the internal lived felt experience of that suit. So she is feeling personal truth, and there's a sense of reverence for it. So my question to you would be, what are you finally accepting about yourself? What are you embracing about yourself that you've previously tried to change or ignore? What are you coming to terms with about the truth of who you are? And why is it that you're embracing that truth now, whereas in the past you didn't want to embrace it? What changed? This is radical self-acceptance. It's almost like you're finally able to almost detach a little bit and see yourself more objectively and more clearly. And it's like if you were observing another person, it would be so easy to say, oh, yeah, I can clearly see, from my objective perspective over here, I can see that person, really doesn't like this food, right? It's so obvious to me, right? But they just keep eating the same food, like they're forcing themselves to eat this food that they don't like. It's very odd to me, right? From your objective, detached perspective, it's like very obvious. But they're in it. They can't see themselves clearly because they are themselves, right? I wrote this recently in a newsletter, and I feel called to share it with you now. The truth is, nobody knows you better than you, and you are your greatest blind spot. It's both. 100% it is both. So it almost feels a little bit like you are embracing your blind spot, or maybe you finally, again, you see yourself more objectively, and in that objective perspective, you're able to own more of the truth of who you are. All right, let's keep going. Okay, I'll just take that one. I'll go with that one. A whole bunch just came out, but I only saw one, so we'll go with that. And that's the Two of Cups, which is beautiful. The Two of Cups is about emotional intimacy. It can indicate emotional intimacy with another person or being, anything outside of you. But But in this case, in combination with the Queen of Wands and everything that I just said, this is so clearly emotional intimacy with yourself. You are stepping into a greater state of emotional intelligence, awareness, and intimacy with yourself because you can see yourself more objectively. It's actually kind of ironic because in order to see yourself more objectively, you kind of have to zoom out a little bit, even if it's just for a moment. But because you have that more objective bird's eye view perspective about yourself, you're then able to become more intimate with yourself. It's kind of like this 1-2 step, Greater objectivity leads to greater intimacy. It's interesting. What I'm hearing is I love myself, I appreciate myself, and I can see so clearly how all that I've been through has led me to where I am, and all I've been through has created who I am. So there's also an appreciation of your own history here. You didn't end up the way you are today in a void or in a vacuum, right? Your life experiences shaped you. So you are who you are in your core, in your essence. I believe that is what it is, and that is actually unchanging. But so much of your persona and your preferences, let's say, your ego, it's conditioned. It's conditioned by the place you grew up, the time you grew up, so many different things. So I think you're appreciating more of the full picture of who you are rather than like picking yourself apart. So this is really beautiful. Let's go a little bit more. And I do think it is an important exercise, a mental exercise. If you find that you are kind of picking yourself apart or being really hard on yourself, can you imagine seeing yourself from somebody else's perspective? If that's a little bit too abstract, then maybe go into the perspective of somebody who loves you and imagine what they see when they look at you. Again, nobody knows you better than you, and you are your greatest blind spot. Both. Ten of Wands. The Ten of Wands is about, sorry, I keep clearing my throat. It's early in the morning, so I have like a groggy morning voice. The Ten of Wands is about a burden, carrying a burden. I mean, you can see that's literally what the picture is showing. Being weighed down by responsibilities that aren't even yours. They've just piled up over time. You've just taken on more and more and more and more until this like backpack that you're carrying is 1,000 pounds, right? But all tens indicate being at the end of a cycle. So this means that you're ready to put the burden down and step into a new era of life free of that burden. And I think the burden here, really putting it into context with the other cards, the burden, the unnecessary burden that you've been carrying is potentially just the way that you see yourself, the way that you perceive yourself. Right? If you are stepping into a greater state of self-awareness and self-love, then that means you've been experiencing a lack of those things. You haven't been self-loving or totally self-aware, right? That's a burden. Not really knowing yourself, or not accepting the truth of who you are. I think that's really the core of it. Not accepting the truth of who you are for whatever reason, which is totally valid, but not accepting that personal truth, that's a burden. There's no way around it. If you don't accept the truth of who you are, you're gonna live life with the visceral experience of burden in your body. Living the embodiment of personal truth is freedom. Therefore, the lack of that is burden. You know? All right, let's go a little bit more. The Chariot. Freedom. Yeah. The Chariot. The Chariot just came up in the last reading, so I feel like I'm repeating myself a little bit, but the Chariot is about ego, a fully formed, strong ego, which is just a sense of self. This is your sense of self. And the freedom that comes with that. You know, so many people think that the ego is bad and wrong and blah, blah, blah. It's not. There is no awakening without the ego. The ego, this independent, differentiated sense of self, that's what allows awakening to happen. And that's a whole nother conversation for another time. But when you know who you are, and you accept the truth of who you are, then it's freedom. Nothing stops you. Nothing stops you. Yeah, this is beautiful. Okay, so I would again leave you with the following journal prompt or question to reflect on. What is the personal truth that you are now ready to fully own, embrace, and accept about yourself that you up to this point have rejected? Why were you rejecting it up to this point, and why are you now ready to put the burden down and accept it? Accept this personal truth about yourself. What changed? How has your perspective shifted to the degree that now you see it's beneficial to you to accept this truth about yourself? Okay. And just know, hopefully this provides validation. Once you do radically accept this personal truth and you own it and embody it, on the other side of that is freedom and success. Okay. All right, guys. Well, this was a really beautiful reading. If it resonated, or you found it helpful, or it sparked some kind of food for thought, then give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. Leave any questions or comments down below. I would love to hear from you, and I'll see you in the next reading. Bye.